Welcome back to I Am Hope in the Chaos. I'm Jamie, and today I want to talk about something really personal, my diagnosis. Not just the moment I got diagnosed, but what led me there. The years of confusion, the panic, the mislabels, the shame, and eventually, the truth. I used to believe a diagnosis was a sentence, a label, a limitation, but now I see it as something else entirely. A map. Let me explain. A few years ago, if you'd ask me, "Who are you?" I don't think I could have answered. I was in survival mode. I had so many symptoms and emotional extremes I couldn't explain, and it left me questioning everything. But today, I can tell you who I am. I'm a wife, a mom to two beautiful, strong daughters, a dog mom, a creative soul, an advocate, a dreamer, a fighter, and someone who's finally found peace in a truth that scared me for far too long. Growing up, I dealt with depression and anxiety from a very young age. I didn't always feel seen. I often felt like I was on the outside looking in. I carried those wounds into adulthood. I became really good at functioning while falling apart inside. Then I met Scott. We got married young, and for the first time, I felt truly safe. But feeling safe did not stop the pain. It just gave me someone else who now saw the pain too. And that brought urgency. My emotions were extreme. Anger, sadness, fear. They didn't just come. They exploded. I had moments where I didn't feel like myself at all. I knew I wasn't just anxious or just overwhelmed, but I didn't know what was happening. I started seeking help, and at first, it was misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis, meds that made things worse, side effects that didn't make sense, and a growing fear that maybe I really was broken. But then a new practitioner came into my life who actually listened, who didn't just try to fix, but tried to understand. I shared everything, especially the parts that felt too messy to say out loud. The racing thoughts, the impulsivity, the fog, the feeling like someone else had taken over my mind. And she told me something that would change everything. I believe you have bipolar 2 disorder. That moment felt both terrifying and clarifying. It was like someone handed me a mirror that finally reflected the whole picture. At first, I was scared of the word bipolar. I was worried people would see me differently, that they'd only see my chaos and not my heart. I worried I'd be labeled, judged, or misunderstood. But the more I learned about it, the more I accepted it. The more it felt like something sacred, not a sentence, a map, a way to finally understand why I had felt the way I had, why my life looked the way it looked, why no treatment ever felt right before. And once I had the right diagnosis, I could actually start building the right support. Since then, my life has not been perfect. I still have hard days, but now I know why. And that knowledge has changed everything. It has changed my marriage, my motherhood, my relationship with myself. I've grown to love the woman I am, not because I'm flawless, but because I finally understand her. When I talk about diagnosis as a map, I mean this. It gives us direction. It gives us language. Without it, we're lost in symptoms and confusion. With it, we can finally say, this is what's happening. This is why it's happening. And here's what I can do next. Maps don't erase the terrain. They just help us navigate it better. I now understand my triggers. I know the signs of a hypomanic episode before it explodes. I know how to ask for help before I break. And I've learned how to explain what I'm going through to those around me. I use my diagnosis to make sense of the past, to stay steady in the present, and to make empowered decisions about the future. When you live with a mental health condition, unpredictability can feel like the enemy. But understanding your diagnosis, even if it's scary, can become your guide. It's not about being boxed in. It's about being given tools to navigate the terrain ahead. And here is something I didn't expect. My diagnosis helped me reconnect with my dreams. For so long, I thought I'd never be able to reach my goals because I couldn't trust my brain. I was scared to build anything because I didn't know how long I could keep it going. But now, I dream differently. I dream with clarity. I create space for rest. I set boundaries with compassion. I know how to course correct without shame. This diagnosis did not limit me. It freed me. It let me start again. I've learned that part of navigating life with bipolar means becoming more attuned to patterns. For example, I keep a journal now, not just to vent, but to notice shifts in my energy, sleep, and thoughts. Over time, I've started to see the signals before the storm. That's what maps do. They help you anticipate what's ahead. And when I don't catch it in time, that's okay too. This is not about perfection. It's about progress. Another thing that's been key for me is creating a support circle. People who understand, who won't try to fix me, but will just be there. Whether it's my partner, a friend, or a peer I've met through advocacy work. These are the people I check in with regularly. Having a diagnosis helped me figure out what kind of support I actually need and how to ask for it. Let me share a story that really brought this idea of the diagnosis being a map into focus. A few months after getting diagnosed, I remember having a moment in the middle of a grocery store. Everything around me felt too loud. The colors were overstimulating. I felt like I was about to spiral, and I did not understand why. But then it clicked. I had barely slept the night before. I had not eaten all day, and I was already overwhelmed before I walked in. Before my diagnosis, I might have collapsed into shame or pushed through and paid for it later. But now I recognize the signs. I left the cart, walked to the car. I breathed. I texted someone. I listened to myself. That is what a map helps you do. Another time, I had a stretch of days where I felt too good, not just happy, but revved up, energized in a way that didn't feel quite right. I noticed I started making impulsive plans, rearranging my whole schedule, and suddenly had the urge to completely redesign my house at midnight. Again, my diagnosis helped me pause. I checked in, I wrote it down, I communicated it to someone I trust. That self-awareness, because I understood what bipolar looks like for me. For anyone listening, maybe you're afraid of what a diagnosis will mean. Or maybe you already have one and you're not sure how to feel about it. Please hear this. There is nothing shameful about seeking understanding. There is power in naming what you have been through. The diagnosis is not all of you, but it can be a door that opens up a better, more aligned version of your life. You are not alone. You are not too much. You are not a burden. You are someone who is learning to walk a hard road with honesty and courage. And you do not have to do it perfectly to be proud of yourself. If you are listening and you have a diagnosis, any diagnosis, whether it's bipolar, depression, ADHD, anxiety, PTSD, or anything else, I want you to hear this too. Your diagnosis is not the end of your story. It can be the beginning of your healing. It can guide you to the right support, the right tools, the right boundaries. It can help you see your patterns and give you permission to change. It can help you stop blaming yourself for things you didn't have the language for before. Your diagnosis can be a roadmap to discovering your truest, most powerful self. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And now you're better equipped to take care of that beautiful, complex humanity. Let your diagnosis be your compass. Let it point you back to you. One practical way to use your diagnosis as a roadmap is to build a personalized toolkit. Maybe that includes grounding techniques, therapy, medication, journaling, or setting boundaries. Maybe it's keeping an energy tracker, having a safe person to check in with during tough seasons, or writing out your warning signs list. What matters most is that you begin to see these strategies not as rules, but as routes. They guide you. Another helpful mind shift or mindset shift Stop measuring success by how often you struggle. Start measuring it by how quickly you return to yourself, by how kindly you treat yourself during your setbacks, by how bravely you keep showing up. If you've been wondering, why me? Maybe now you can start asking, where can I go from here? Because there is a way forward. If today's episode resonated with you, I would love your support to help keep this podcast going. I now offer monthly sponsorship tiers through Ko-fi, where you can contribute starting at just $3 a month. Each tier includes special benefits and helps me continue sharing stories and support with others who need it most. You can learn more and subscribe at ko-fi.com/IamHopeInTheChaos. That is KO-fi.com/IamHopeInTheChaos. Thank you for being here with me. This is I Am Hope in the Chaos, and I'm Jamie, still learning, still hearing, still healing, and still here. I am not a licensed therapist or medical professional. Everything I share on this podcast is based on my personal lived experience. If you need support, please reach out to a qualified provider. You are worthy of real care.